A siren wails somewhere in the distance, yet the only sound that truly unsettles you is the one inside your own skull. That quiet, razor-thin whisper that slices through the darkness the moment the world stops demanding your attention. It arrives without warning, like a crack in the fabric of night itself, and suddenly every unfinished thought surges back with violent clarity. You know this moment. Those late hours when the ceiling becomes a confessional booth, and your mind, restless, relentless, refuses to obey the exhaustion in your bones. Why is it always at night? Why does your mind wait until the world has gone silent to unleash everything you've tried to suppress? You tell yourself it's just stress, or fatigue, or maybe the side effect of too much caffeine, but deep down, you sense something else at play. Something ancient. Something that doesn't care about logic or schedules or the facade you wear during daylight. Something that wakes up only when everything else shuts down. It's in those hours, when thoughts multiply like shadows in a room with too many corners, that you start asking the forbidden questions. What if the life you are living isn't the one you truly want? What if the version of you that shows up in daylight is only a fraction of who you really are? What if the reason you can't sleep isn't the noise of your thoughts, but the truth they're trying to reveal? You turn on your side. You close your eyes. You try to drown the spiral with distractions, but the spiral adapts, compressing itself into smaller, sharper questions that land closer to the heart. Why do your regrets suddenly feel louder at 2 a.m.? Why do the moments you tried to forget resurface with cinematic detail? Why do you feel an urge to reinvent yourself when the rest of the world is unconscious? There is a paradox here, one you've never dared to articulate. The later the hour, the more honest your mind becomes. It strips away the masks. It exposes the fractures. It shines a spotlight on the desires you pretend not to have. And yet, you're not sure whether this honesty is a gift or a threat. You sense that people who overthink at night share something unspoken, a set of hidden traits that most will never recognize in themselves, traits that shape their identity, their relationships, their destiny. But what exactly are they? What force sits behind this nocturnal unraveling? You feel the answer approaching, not gently, but like a tremor in the dark, pulling you toward a truth you've avoided for years. And this is where everything begins to crack open. The hidden problem and its psychological/philosophical roots. There is a reason your mind becomes a battleground when the night grows still. It isn't a weakness, nor is it some personal flaw you've failed to correct. The truth runs deeper, rooted in ancient psychological instincts and philosophical conflicts that stretch back centuries. Carl Jung once wrote that, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Nighttime overthinking is precisely this collision, the unfiltered voice of your unconscious finally drowning out the daytime noise. The persona you project to the world dissolves, and what remains is the raw, unmasked self, demanding to be heard. You overthink at night because your psyche waits for vulnerability. When the lights go out, your defenses go down, and the shadows inside you step forward. But what are these shadows really? They're not just fears or insecurities, they're contradictions. Jung believed we each carry a shadow self, the parts of us we deny, suppress, or refuse to acknowledge. These fragments don't disappear, they simply wait. And the quiet of the night becomes their perfect stage. Nietzsche might say it differently, that your late-night spirals reflect a deeper struggle between who you are and who you could be. A war between your instincts and your expectations. A tension between your hunger for meaning and the routines that slowly suffocate it. And if you've ever felt that tension, pulling at you like chains, you're not imagining it. Psychologically, nighttime overthinking is often the mind's rebellion against forced conformity. During the day, societal roles keep you contained: worker, partner, friend, decision-maker, problem-solver. But at night, those structures loosen. The subconscious, no longer constrained by roles, begins to question everything. Aldous Huxley believed that human beings are haunted not by what they lack, but by what they know they are capable of becoming. Your nocturnal thoughts echo this haunting. They ask, why aren't you living the life you secretly envision? Why does the world feel too small for the size of the questions in your head? Why do the choices you've made feel misaligned with the person you sense within you? These are not casual curiosities. They are existential alarms. And modern psychology supports this. Studies show that the default mode network, the brain system active during rest, processes unresolved conflict, identity dilemmas, suppressed emotions, and unfulfilled desires. In other words, the moment you stop performing, your brain starts confronting. This is why the night feels heavier. This is why silence becomes confrontational. This is why you think more deeply, more painfully, more honestly after midnight. Yet the hidden force underneath all this is not simply self-awareness, it is self-recognition. A part of you is trying to wake up. A part of you is trying to correct the course of your life. A part of you is calling out from beneath the life you've settled into, demanding attention. And still, you don't fully understand the consequences of ignoring that call. Not yet. Because the real danger isn't the overthinking itself. It's what happens when you fail to decode the message behind it. And those consequences run deeper than you realize. The unseen consequences. You think your late-night overthinking is contained, that it begins in the darkness and ends when the sun rises. But the truth is far more insidious. The consequences leak into your days, shaping your choices, your relationships, your identity, often without you realizing it. Because overthinking is not an isolated habit. It's a quiet architect. Every unresolved thought you wrestle with at 2 a.m. lays a brick in the unseen structure of your life. And eventually, that structure becomes a prison you don't remember building. Consider this. When you overthink, your brain activates the same neural circuitry it uses for predicting danger. Night after night, you train your mind to see threats where none exist. You normalize hypervigilance. You rehearse self-doubt. You sharpen fears until they feel like facts. And then you wonder why decisions feel heavier than they should. Why do you hesitate even when your heart is certain? Why opportunities slip by, not because you were incapable, but because you were entangled in mental simulations that never came true. This is the first consequence, a distorted perception of reality. You don't see life as it is, you see it through the lens of what could go wrong. But there's more. Cognitive psychology calls it attentional bias, the mind's tendency to direct focus toward whatever feels emotionally unresolved. So while the rest of the world responds to what is happening, you respond to what might be happening. You're living in alternate timelines that never materialize yet drain you as if they did. And this mental time travel robs you of presence. You become physically here, but psychologically elsewhere. Your relationships feel this first. When you're trapped in internal analysis, connection becomes effortful. People sense your distance, your quietness, your hesitations that seem unexplainable. They don't know you're fighting invisible battles. They only feel that you're not fully with them. The tragedy is, many overthinkers are deeply empathetic, perceptive, and emotionally intelligent, but these traits turn inward at night, spiraling until they become weapons instead of gifts. Then society adds its own layer of consequence. We live in a culture that glorifies certainty and punishes hesitation. But overthinkers live between worlds, the external world of action and the internal world of reflection. The tension between these worlds creates a unique form of existential fatigue, one that isn't solved by sleep, because it's rooted in meaning, identity, and suppressed potential. If you've ever woken up tired despite hours of rest, this is why. Your body slept. Your mind didn't. But the deepest consequence is the quietest one. You begin to lose trust in your own instincts. You question your intuition until it withers. You doubt your desires until they feel unreasonable. You silence the very voice that was meant to guide you. This inner erosion is subtle, almost elegant in how slowly it unfolds. But eventually, it leaves you living a life that feels slightly off, slightly misaligned, like wearing someone else's clothes, someone else's dreams. And perhaps the most haunting part is this: your late-night thoughts were never trying to sabotage you. They were trying to warn you. But warn you about what? The answer demands a rebellion, a break from the patterns that have held you hostage for years. And that rebellion begins now. The rebellion, how to break free. Rebellion doesn't begin with noise. It begins with recognition, an inward shift so subtle that no one else notices. yet powerful enough to reroute the entire trajectory of your life. And for someone who overthinks at night, rebellion means this: you stop letting your mind be a courtroom and start letting it be a compass. For years, you've treated your thoughts like accusations, interrogations, threats. But what if the very storm you feared was the place where your deepest intelligence lives? What if the thoughts you've tried to silence were never enemies, but encrypted messages from the part of you that refuses to die quietly? Jung once wrote that the greatest burden of life is to become who you truly are. Breaking free from nocturnal overthinking isn't about stopping the thoughts, it's about decoding them. So here's the radical shift, the rebellion most people never dare to attempt. 1. Honor the questions instead of escaping them. The moment you stop running from your late-night thoughts is the moment they lose their power to control you. Sit with them. Ask them what they want. Ask them what they've been trying to show you. You'll find that overthinking is rarely about fear, it's about yearning. The mind overthinks not because it is weak, but because it is reaching for a truth you haven't admitted. This is where Viktor Frankl's insight becomes essential. Human beings are not destroyed by suffering, they are destroyed by a lack of meaning. Your nocturnal spirals are not symptoms, they are signals. 2. Redefine uncertainty as freedom, not danger. Overthinkers crave clarity because they experience the world intensely. But what if you reframed uncertainty as possibility? Nietzsche believed that the individual must create their own meaning in a world without inherent order. This requires risk. It requires stepping into the unknown not with fear, but with authorship. Every overthought scenario is secretly an invitation, not, "What if everything goes wrong?" but, "What if this is the doorway I've been avoiding?" 3. Reclaim your instinct, the voice beneath the noise. Overthinking often drowns out intuition, but intuition never disappears. It waits. And the rebellion begins when you start listening again. Ask yourself, which thoughts feel heavy, and which feel true? Which fears repeat because they're lies, and which persist because they're pointing at something real? Your body knows the difference long before your mind does. 4. Break the cycle through deliberate action. Here's a counterintuitive truth: you don't eliminate overthinking by finding answers. You eliminate it by moving. Action disrupts the loops. Action provides data. Action transforms abstract fears into concrete experiences. Even the smallest act, sending the message, making the call, taking the risk, shatters 1,000 hypothetical outcomes your mind has created. 5. Create a nighttime ritual that converts thought into transformation. Not suppression. Not a distraction. Transformation. Write the thoughts down. Name them. Let them reveal their patterns. This act alone shifts the mind from chaos to clarity, from spiraling to storytelling. And slowly, night after night, a strange thing begins to happen. Your thoughts stop punishing you. They start guiding you. They start aligning you with the version of yourself you've been sprinting toward in secret. This is the rebellion, not the destruction of the old self, but the emergence of the true one. And once this transformation begins, you are led toward a truth so profound, so disarming, that everything you once believed about your overthinking collapses in an instant. Because the ultimate realization is still ahead. The ultimate truth, the final, most powerful realization. There comes a moment, often quietly, without ceremony, when the threads of your late-night thoughts begin to weave into something you never expected, not fear, not confusion, but clarity. A clarity so stark it almost frightens you. Because the truth isn't that you overthink. The truth is that you feel deeply, sense subtly, and perceive what others overlook. And the world has never taught you how to live with that level of awareness. This is the revelation most people will never reach. Your overthinking is not a flaw, it's an unused form of intelligence. A cognitive sensitivity. A heightened consciousness. A mind tuned to frequencies that ordinary people never hear. You spiral at night because your mind refuses to accept surface-level explanations. It digs. It questions. It dissects. It searches for meaning even in the dark. And that searching, though painful, is the hallmark of inner evolution. Schopenhauer believed that consciousness is a double-edged sword. It grants depth, but also suffering. Yet he also hinted at a hidden gift, that those who suffer from heightened awareness are the very ones capable of seeing truth without flinching. And here is the ultimate realization: your late-night overthinking is the birth cry of your untapped self. Every question you ask at 1 a.m. is a doorway. Every doubt is a chisel. Every memory that resurfaces is a message from a version of you that refuses to be forgotten. You thought your overthinking was trying to break you. But it has been trying to break you open. All this time, the discomfort wasn't a signal of weakness, it was a sign of transition. A psychological molting. A shedding of outdated identities, inherited expectations, and artificial narratives imposed by society. You weren't spiraling. You were awakening. And this awakening carries with it an even more profound truth: ***, you are not meant to silence your mind. You are meant to learn its language. ***. Your intuition, your sensitivity, your capacity to trace emotions to their roots. These are traits of creators, thinkers, leaders, philosophers, and visionaries. People who shape the world do not have quiet minds. They have loud minds they've learned to channel. Your overthinking becomes destructive only when you interpret it as an enemy. But once you understand its purpose, it becomes a guide. A compass pointing you toward the life you secretly know is yours. Because beneath all the noise, beneath the spirals, beneath the what-ifs, there is always one recurring theme. A longing. A craving for authenticity. A desire to align your outer life with your inner truth. And the moment you finally acknowledge this longing, not resist it, not fear it, but honor it, you break the final illusion ***. You were never broken. You were becoming. ***. You were learning to outgrow the smallness you were taught to accept. You were learning to trust a mind that refuses to settle for half-lived existence. You were learning that your depth is not a burden, it is your power. And now, as the realization settles, as the final veil lifts, you see it clearly. Your late-night overthinking was never the problem. It was the invitation. The call to step into the life, the identity, the destiny that has been waiting for you on the other side of your fear. And now that you understand the truth, you're no longer trapped in the night. You're walking toward the dawn with your eyes open.